The cold February wind whipped through the alleyways as Rachel hurriedly made her way to the restaurant, a bouquet of roses in one hand and a shivering hope in the other. The neon lights above the narrow street danced in a macabre fashion, casting eerie shadows that twisted the already twisted vines and ivy that clung to the ancient brick buildings. Rachel's heart thudded in her chest, a mix of excitement and anticipation, as she thought about the date she had been planning for weeks. It was Valentine's Day, and she had agreed to go out with him, the mysterious new guy from her office, despite the whispers and the warnings from her colleagues. His name was Vincent, and from the moment he had walked into their office, Rachel had felt an inexplicable pull towards him. His piercing blue eyes and the way he spoke in hushed tones made her feel like he was sharing secrets only she could understand. He had a certain charm that was both alluring and unnerving, and Rachel, a girl who had always been drawn to the darker side of romance, couldn't resist his advances. The restaurant, a quaint French bistro nestled in the heart of the city, was dimly lit, with candles flickering on each table. The smell of garlic and butter wafted through the air, mingling with the faint scent of fresh flowers. Rachel took a deep breath, steeling herself for the evening ahead. She had chosen a red dress, the color of passion and love, and her hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders, framing her pale face. The dress hugged her curves in all the right places, and she felt confident that she would leave a lasting impression on Vincent. As she pushed open the door, a warm gust of air kissed her cheeks, and she stepped into the romantic haven. The hostess, a bustling woman with a thick French accent, greeted her with a forced smile and led her to a secluded table in the back where a single red rose lay in wait. Rachel felt a thrill of excitement as she sat down, smoothing out her dress and placing her bouquet beside her. The waiter arrived promptly, a young man with a shy demeanor who barely made eye contact as he took her drink order. Rachel glanced around the room, her eyes searching for the man who was to be her Valentine. The restaurant was mostly empty, the couples that were there lost in their own worlds of whispers and touches. It was the perfect setting for a night of love and mystery. Time dragged on, the ticking of the clock echoing in her ears like the heartbeat of a creature stalking its prey. Rachel checked her phone, the screen glowing like a beacon in the dark, but there were no messages from Vincent. The waiter returned with her drink, a deep red wine that matched the color of her dress. Finally, the door to the restaurant opened, and in walked Vincent. He was dressed impeccably in a black suit, his tie the same shade of crimson as the rose on her table. His eyes scanned the room, and when they landed on Rachel, they lit up like the neon signs outside. He strode towards her, a predatory grace in his movements, and took her hand, placing a gentle kiss upon it. "You look exquisite," he murmured, his voice a soft caress against her ear. Rachel felt a shiver run down her spine, a delicious blend of fear and desire. The evening began with a whirlwind of conversation and laughter, as if they had known each other for a lifetime. They shared stories of their pasts, their hopes, and their dreams. Rachel felt as if she were being drawn into a web, but she didn't care. She was too busy enjoying the sweet nectar of his words. The food was exquisite, each bite a symphony of flavors that only enhanced the intoxicating aroma of their burgeoning connection. But as the night grew darker, so too did the tone of their conversation. Vincent's stories grew darker, filled with tales of loss and heartache that Rachel hadn't anticipated. Yet she found herself unable to pull away, the allure of his pain and the promise of his affection too great to resist. As the hours passed, the restaurant emptied, leaving Rachel and Vincent as the only patrons in the candlelit bistro. The flickering flames cast a warm glow on their faces, highlighting the intensity of their conversation. Rachel noticed that the waitstaff hovered at a respectful distance, giving them a space that was both intimate and unsettling. Vincent's hand slid across the table, his fingertips grazing hers. Rachel felt a jolt of electricity at his touch, and she looked up to find his gaze fixed on her, his pupils dilated with a hunger she couldn't quite understand. He leaned in closer, his breath warm against her cheek as he whispered, "Come with me, Rachel. There's something I want to show you." Her heart racing, Rachel nodded, unable to resist the siren's call of his mysteriousness. He led her out into the cold night, his hand firm around hers, guiding her through the labyrinthine streets of the city. They walked for what seemed like an eternity, the cobblestones beneath their feet echoing their footsteps like a haunting melody. They arrived at an unassuming townhouse, the kind that looked like it had seen centuries of secrets. The door was unlocked, and they stepped into a dimly lit foyer. The air was thick with the scent of incense, and Rachel felt a sense of unease that she couldn't quite shake. Yet she followed Vincent up the grand staircase, her heels clicking on the marble like a countdown to fate. In a room at the top, with walls adorned with velvet drapes and shelves lined with ancient tomes, he turned to her. The smile that once seemed so charming now looked sinister. Rachel's heart was in her throat, her breath shallow, as she watched him pull back the curtains, revealing a full moon that cast an eerie silver light over the space. "You see, Rachel, I have a confession to make," he began, his voice dropping to a seductive purr. "I am not entirely human." The words hung in the air, a declaration that sent a cold shiver down Rachel's spine. She tried to pull away, but his grip tightened, his eyes now glowing with an otherworldly light. "I am a creature of the night, a vampire, and tonight I wish for you to become one with me, to share in eternity and the depths of passion that come with it." Panic set in as Rachel realized the true nature of her date. She had been lured into a trap, a game played by a creature that had been feeding on human desire for centuries. But instead of fear, she felt a strange thrill. The whispers from her colleagues, the tales of his dark past, all fell into place like the pieces of a macabre puzzle. Vincent's fangs grew, piercing through his upper lip as he leaned in closer, his breath hot against her neck. Rachel's pulse quickened, the throb of her veins calling out to him like a siren's song. She felt the sharp sting as his teeth sank into her skin, and a warm rush of pleasure replaced the pain. Her body responded in ways she never knew possible, a fiery dance of lust and terror that consumed her very soul. As the night progressed, Rachel found herself giving in to the darkness, her humanity slipping away like sand through an hourglass. Vincent's embrace was intoxicating, his kisses a heady mix of sweet and bitter. He showed her a world she had only ever dreamed of, a world of power and immortality, where the night was their playground and the stars their only witnesses. The transformation was painful, a rebirth that tore at her very essence. Rachel felt her life force draining away, replaced by a hunger that could never be sated. Yet, with every drop of his crimson essence that he fed her, she grew stronger, more alive than she had ever been. When the first light of dawn pierced the velvet curtains, Rachel awoke to find herself in a cold, unfamiliar body, her humanity but a distant memory. She looked into the mirror and saw the creature she had become, a vampire, beautiful and terrifying.